On this season of Key Change, we're having conversations about nurturing the next generation of artists in the world of opera.
And while so much of the hype is about what happens on opera stages around the world...
I mean, as you recall from our last episode, we do love our opera star turns and la bohèmes and a fancy gala gown.
True. But while much of the focus is there, a lot of work is also happening sort of behind the scenes with the kids, families, and communities around those opera companies.
And that work is often in the community engagement and education departments.
And that work is often what feeds and waters and grows the next generation of not just singers,
but composers,
designers,
directors,
stage managers,
technicians,
administrators,
volunteers,
and yes, patrons and audience members.
It's important to remember that someone's first experience with opera isn't always at the opera.
So today, we're inviting you on a guided tour of community engagement and education.
A tour? How about a party?
Okay, a community engagement and education party at the Santa Fe Opera.
With a couple of familiar Key Change voices from our last season, Charles Gamble and Marissa Aurora, and a brand new one, Olivia Dorrell.
If you're local to New Mexico, this episode may give you some ideas of how to engage with the Santa Fe Opera.
And even if you're not, maybe it'll give you some ideas for how to bring more opera into your community too. Have you ever wanted to know how an opera singer prepares on performance days?
Or what it's like on the other side of the audition table?
Or how to find the courage to take more creative risks in your own life and work?
I'm Anna Garcia with the Santa Fe Opera.
And I'm Olga Perez Flora with the University of New Mexico.
And in Season 6 of Key Change, we're pulling back the curtain
to reveal what it takes to build a rewarding and sustainable career in opera.
Illuminate just what can happen when you build meaningful partnerships with incredible collaborators.
And give you a sneak preview of the next generation of talent taking root right here in New Mexico.
And right here on Key Change.
All right, here we go, friends.
Hi, good morning, good afternoon, Olga.
Hi, Anna. It's a great day because we have in the house Charles Gamble.
Oh, my goodness.
Welcome, Charles.
Oh, thanks, Olga.
We are so happy to have you here and your team with community engagement.
Wait a minute. Something's changed since we last talked to you. What's changed?
Oh, my goodness. So much. So when we last spoke in this very studio, I was the director of school programs for the Santa Fe Opera, a position that I'd had for just over a decade. And then our great friend and mentor, Andrea Fellows-Feinberg, moved on to pursue her libretto writing career.
Yeah.
And I have expanded my position from being director of school programs to being also now director of community engagement at the Santa Fe Opera, which is super exciting and electric.
So that means we have a lot of questions.
Cue confetti. Charles, what has changed for you moving from director of school programs to director of community engagement?
You know, a big part of the change has been going from, there are essentially 4 school programs that focus on residencies for kiddos and professional development for teachers, and expanding to being director of community engagement just means that I'm engaged with, rather than just those 4 programs, with about 20 different initiatives and programs, which, believe you me, my teeth would be rattling if it were not for the remarkable team in community engagement. Mighty Anna Garcia, Olivia Dorrell, Marissa Aurora, Amy Owens, the director of the Young Voices of the Santa Fe Opera. And with a team that's this passionate, this dedicated, and this collaborative, it makes stepping into this position pretty thrilling, because I'm challenged and energized by the remarkable people around me, this remarkable team.
It's so great. Have you had any surprises thus far?
Ooh, great question.
Yeah. Does it count that, like, on my first day when I walked in, the fact that the opera didn't break was a pleasant surprise? Maybe that's the fatalist in me. To be honest, since I've been a teaching artist at the Santa Fe Opera for over 20 years, an administrator for over 10 years, there's a lot about the place, the people, and the mission of the Santa Fe Opera that is very familiar to me. Mm-hmm. So maybe different from surprise, I'm delighted to continue to be delighted. Yeah, by the work, the people, the place.
Yeah. I think that leads us beautifully into our next question, because part of what you do with your programs is you reach out to children and to our community members, and we get to see the delight on their faces. Since I've moved to New Mexico, I've heard so many wonderful things about your summer program at Santa Fe Opera called Opera Storytellers. Tell me how this program started and what is involved in this program. And then let's follow up with how can folks get information on how to sign their kiddos up?
Terrific. Opera Storytellers. Goodness. So Opera Storytellers is a week-long opera intensive in which a group of about 20 third through sixth graders learn about opera by creating an original 10-minute opera based on the hero's journey. Now, the origin story of Opera Storytellers, it really comes out of the student-produced opera program, which is how I first came into the SFO sphere. And what's super exciting about this camp is it really leans into the process of opera. I mean, the performances are fabulous, right? Coming up to the opera, I mean, we are all moved, excited by the extraordinary pageantry, the design, the music, the movement of the performance of opera. I will be honest with you, though, the thing that most excites me is the process, and being able to engage in that process with emerging artists, with young humans, and watching them do the heavy lifting of being artists, of really wrestling with collaboratively creating a story, which is hard work, right? I mean, we know that as adults, but to be able to help support that process in the Opera Storytellers camp while kiddos are learning about this remarkable art form, while they're also being introduced to being more physically expressive, more vocally expressive, while they are, in fact, composing the songs that they will sing as part of their world premiere at the end of the week. That is definitely one of the things that I find so delightful. And I must say that the co-director of Opera Storytellers, Amy Owens, who also directs the Young Voices of the Santa Fe Opera.
And whom you can hear from in episodes 3 and 7 of Season 5, Harmony and Process, and What's Opera to a Bunch of High School Students.
Linked for you, of course, in this episode's show notes.
She brought a really extraordinary innovation into the Opera Storytellers process with having backing tracks for students to vocally improvise on or over. And that has just been transformative in terms of the process. Can I tell you, Olga, about the dates for
Please
Opera Storytellers?
And yes, and I also wanted you to tell us it's available in both Santa Fe and Albuquerque at my very own University of New Mexico. So yes, please tell us all the information.
So the camp on the Santa Fe Opera campus runs from Monday, June 2nd through Friday, June 6th, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. daily. And at UNM, the Opera Storytellers will run from Monday, June 16th through Friday, June 20th from 9 to 3. Registration for both camps opens on the Santa Fe Opera website on April 1st at 9 a.m. And the camp on the SFO campus generally fills to capacity in the first half hour.
No, 9:02 a.m. That Santa Fe camp fills up so fast.
It does fill up fast.
Yes.
I was going to say, as a mom, get your alerts going on your calendar and get on that website early, because you're going to want to be registered for this wonderful camp.
What you may or may not remember about Charles Gamble from his episode last season, Making Learning Sticky,
Linked in the show notes.
is that among other theatrical interests, Charles has a passion for improv.
So we asked him if he could riff a little on what improvisation has to do with opera.
Oh, gosh, yes, he can.
Yes, I
He
can.
loves improv.
Thank you for that. Lovely. So the improv process is central to creating original work. And in the opera storyteller's progression, the collective of teaching artists are doing everything they can to create a safe space for these kiddos to take creative risks. And part of how we do that is, as I mentioned, with these backing tracks to give them some audio support for their vocal improvisation. So after we've already figured out the characters and the story, we have those backing tracks playing, and then we try to excite the kiddos about, hey, what would you, as this squirrel who has suddenly left your safe, wooded world of the known and entered here into the desert, how would you sing this particular text? So we're asking them indeed to improvise in the moment that melodic line. And the lovely thing is that continues all the way through the world premiere at the end of the week. So there's never a point where these kiddos are walking around with libretti, or there's never a point where they have sheet music in their hands, because that would get in the way of the electric experience of their connection with each other, with the audience, and with the story that they have ownership of.
It makes me want to sing.
Oh my God,
Just hearing
fun.
you, I want to be a squirrel.
The
Let's go ahead and veer off onto a different path that the community engagement team works on, which is the Pueblo Opera Program.
The Pueblo Opera Program, otherwise known as POP, is extraordinary. And honestly, it's one of the reasons why I'm so proud to be part of the Santa Fe Opera. POP celebrated its 50th anniversary in 2023. So this is not some new relationship with the 23 indigenous sovereign nations in New Mexico. This program and these relationships are really foundational to the enterprise. And part of what I find so inspiring about POP is that it really leans into the shared value of storytelling. The way it plays out is that every year we have families and youth from these pueblos are invited to attend the youth nights at the opera. So they'll generally attend 2, sometimes 3 performances at the opera. And in addition to busing families in from, sometimes they're coming from pueblos that are 2.5, 3 hours away. Mm-hmm. So once on campus, they're also brought into a really dynamic orientation around the opera that our compatriot Oliver Prezant leads. And then they see the performance. With a program that has this history, part of the power of POP is that we now have Native elders who attended operas when they were kids, and now they're bringing their grandkids.
Beautiful.
And right? They just have that.
That lineage.
Yeah, that's it.
I learned opera as a kid, and now I'm passing it on to my family.
You can dig even deeper into the Pueblo Opera Program and the Pueblo Opera Cultural Council with members from the family of Renee Roybal and Claudine Martinez.
Episodes 4 and 5 from Season 4, Story with Purpose and Spark of Imagination, are linked in the show notes for you. Charles, tell me about the Alto program.
The Alto program, Active Learning Through Opera, comes really in 3 flavors. Ooh. There's the original Alto student-produced opera program, where kiddos are creating original operas based on the hero's journey. Right? Then, in the last decade, we connected with the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C., and really got excited about arts integration, which is an approach to teaching in which we're supporting students to make a meaningful connection between some aspect of opera and an academic topic. And then they're creating original work that really demonstrates that understanding. Now, that original work is not a full opera. It could be, for instance, choreography that demonstrates their understanding of how plate tectonics work and how volcanoes are formed. It could be drawing on acting and the theatrical arts to embody a character from New Mexico history, right? And working on a dramatic monologue from that character. So that's the alto arts integration model. And then finally, we have a focus of alto on professional development. And this is where we're really bringing arts integration practitioners to facilitate work for primarily classroom teachers who may have no experience or no background in the arts at all, but to give them some really accessible tools for them to turn around and use arts integration in their classrooms.
Do you have a favorite flavor?
Ooh. I'll be honest with you, like more and more, partly because of the shift in my role, I still get to be in the classroom, but it feels like it's less and less with kiddos. So increasingly, I'm with teachers and watching a collective of teachers get excited about creating musical instruments out of recycled materials.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
that was a great
that was one of our last workshops.
Yeah.
Right, where I just find that really thrilling, and it's in some ways it's an antidote to the parts of me that feel like in education that everything's broken or not working. I mean, seeing educators get excited with each other and watching them exchange ideas and inspiration.
Creating that experience together.
I love it.
That's the business right there.
Charles, you and I both have our own children, and we see how the arts impacts them positively. What kind of growth do you see in the children who take part in and experience opera up close at Santa Fe Opera through the programs that community engagement offers?
Such a good question. So one of the superpowers of bringing kiddos into the artistic process is that there are lots of points of access. So for kids who are very extroverted and are ready to shine and be the center of attention, there are often opportunities, particularly within the performing arts, for them to get what they need. But there are also points of access for kiddos who may be quieter, who may think differently, to come in and to find something that they're fascinated by, and then to build confidence as they create something, which I think brings us, again, back to that idea of process, of that really being a big part of what excites me about what community engagement is doing and about what the Santa Fe Opera values. Beyond just developing confidence, again, because, we're working in opera, which is the most collaborative live art form on the planet, right?
Yes.
So for kiddos to, again, do the heavy lifting of being artists, and as they take ownership of what they're creating, they have the strong desire, the need to collaborate in order to do that. And I think the more opportunities that we can give young humans to cooperate and to collaborate, recognizing that those are two different things, the more human they are and the better off we all are.
I love that. Sometimes at home, you probably experience this too. The kids will just randomly burst into song or just start dancing or drawing something.
That is not specific to kids.
Yeah, that's right.
Not.
That's true. That's true. But I do find that those moments can be so joyful and delightful. They always make me laugh.
And we need that delight. Like that delight is, it's a real thing and it's enduring. I mean, how fortunate are we? How fortunate are we to be able to work in an art form and in an enterprise where that's the point.
Yes.
Is that delight and those moments that cut through all the worry and all the other heaviness that's also part of life. But
that's right.
That delight,
that's
I'm
right.
with you.
That's right. Well, you may have just answered this, but what is the most satisfying part of your job?
Oh goodness, there is a lot. Woof. Maybe just coming back to opportunities to work with teachers when they are invited into an artistic process that may be outside their comfort zone, but, carefully curating a space where they're allowed to take risks and then watching them connect with each other about what they're discovering. And the ideas, teachers are my heroes, right? And not just from the way that teachers saved my life. Seeing what extraordinary educators can do for the youth of New Mexico, that gives me so much energy. And watching these extraordinarily creative educators take new information and then make connections about, I can take this new thing that I just learned today, and tomorrow I'm going to turn around and with these recycled instruments, these kiddos are going to retell a story that they read the day before.
Love that.
That's awesome. Well, our last question. Could you hit the highlights for us of your favorite operas that you've seen at Santa Fe Opera over the past, how many years?
22.
22 years of operas. Anything that just really, I know they're all amazing, but anything that sticks out?
Picture this.
2005.
Okay. Lucilla, Susan Graham.
Oh, gosh.
The remarkable Susan Graham.
Yeah.
And Selena Schaefer. I was fortunate enough to be a dancer in that production. And Selena Schaefer, who's a remarkable human, who's also a soprano, was singing this extraordinary aria as myself and 4 other dancers as demonic footmen dressed her in a super tight corset. And there was both something about the music, but of course, because I got to be part of the process, that sticks with me. So,
Charles, what was the name of the opera? I didn't catch.
Lucilla.
Lucilla.
Yeah. It's a Mozart.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Amazing.
Before we thank you away, I do want to know, Charles, what are you looking forward to this summer?
Oh, my goodness. Opera storytellers. Big time. Oh, sorry. In terms of what's happening on stage?
Yeah.
That. Yes. I'm super excited about Turn of the Screw.
Ooh, spooky.
Yeah.
Very cool. Thank you so much for joining us, and I can't wait to see more community engagement this summer.
Thank you, Olga.
Thanks, Charles.
Thank you, Anna.
Thank you.
But listeners, we are not finished with our tour yet.
You met our volunteer liaison, Marissa Aurora, last season in episode 4, From Gardening to Greeting Guests, Volunteers Run the World.
And we are happy to welcome our administrative coordinator, Olivia Dorrell.
We did say this was a party.
We have Marissa Aurora and Olivia Dorrell. Welcome.
Hey. Thank you.
So happy to have you both here. Marissa, welcome back. So you are the community engagement liaison.
Yes.
Who do you liaise with?
I liaise with a lot of people. We have over 400 volunteers. And so I'm, maintaining relationships with all of those people, many of whom are donors or are also involved in other ways. I also liaise with Pueblos through the Pueblo Opera program to make sure that, we're really good allies for them and creating programming that serves them. And I also liaise with the guilds of the Santa Fe Opera. So there's actually a separate nonprofit, the Guilds of Santa Fe Opera Incorporated, and they do a lot of work to bring new people to opera, to bring opera out into the community, and also to fundraise for our organization. And so they have 5 member guilds in different communities. And so I work with all of them to make sure that we're maintaining healthy partnerships with them, and also with Northern New Mexico College. So we have an internship through that college, and so I also liaise with that institution as well. So
beautiful work. I love it. Tell us, how are you preparing for this coming summer?
Yeah, so preparations are already underway for a number of programs, working really hard with our volunteer docent advisory committee to get ready for our backstage tour program. So the volunteers in that program go through really extensive training, and we're still working on getting the number of docents back up to pre-COVID levels. So we're doing one more recruitment. We did a great recruitment last year, one more this year to get us back up to about 50 backstage docents. So putting a lot of effort into that program with those volunteers right right now. And also just thinking about how we can make improvements and make changes based on how things went last year. So one of the programs that I run is our Youth Night program, which is also our Pueblo Wapa program. And so just thinking about how we can enhance that experience more for New Mexico youth and just make sure that they're having a good time and really getting a feel for the art form.
That's so great. I've attended a few of those, and I love walking in and you see all the buses and all the students, and they're so excited to be there.
Yeah, it's really great to see.
Olivia, since it's your first time in the studio, tell us about you. Who is Olivia and what brought you to Santa Fe and to Santa Fe Opera?
Yeah, so I'm from Wyoming. I moved to Santa Fe with my partner and our cat Sally a couple of years ago.
Sally, that's so cute.
Mustang Sally formerly, but we call her Sally at home. So we moved to Santa Fe a year and a half ago, and I didn't expect to land at the opera. I was kind of looking for any job in the arts, but I was happy to land here because I've learned so much so far and met some really fabulous people. So that's
nice.
Yeah.
When you accepted this position, what did you think working in the opera would be like?
Yeah, that is such a good question. I truly had no idea, but I was gathering that it would be exciting, it'd be creative space, and that it'd be fast-paced as well. And I was right. However, besides that, I didn't really know what to expect right off the bat.
Yeah, I've seen you at several functions. We've had the pleasure of being together, and I see you all working so hard. You know, everything looks so elegant and beautiful, but I know there's a lot of hard work that goes on behind the scenes. And then when we're done and we're still lingering and hanging out, I see y'all putting everything away. So I know there's a lot going on. Olivia, tell us what your position entails.
Yeah, so my title is Administrative Coordinator in the Community Engagement Office. I'm lucky because it kind of entails so many different programs, and I get to work with everyone in the department with all of their different jobs. So that is very exciting for me. It keeps me active and keeps me up to speed with kind of everything. Yeah.
No one day is the same.
Yeah, exactly, Anna. That's really true.
I love that. It's not a regular 9 to 5.
It is
No,
not.
I'm moving and grooving.
I love it. Tell me what you're looking forward to most this summer.
Yeah, I really do like that bustle of the summer that you kind of touched on earlier. The speed and the energy of the festival season is sort of enchanting at times. In community engagement, we're busy all year, but the summer brings a unique electricity, I would say. And also there are a lot of people that come back to the opera in the summer that I really enjoy working with, so it's really great to see familiar faces and also just experiencing the productions as well.
Well, Marissa, you have been instrumental in volunteerism and expanding the opportunities that are available in and around campus. What has changed since you were in the studio last?
So it's been really great figuring out how we can integrate volunteers more into our institution and different departments. One of the things that has changed since I was in here last is an internship through Northern New Mexico College. So really making an effort to connect more with university level students and give local New Mexican students a chance to experience what it's like in the performing arts world. And so we have an internship in 2 semesters of the year. So we have one from October through December and then one from January through March. And those interns come onto the campus and get to go into the production departments and see what it's like really behind the scenes. This session, we're also getting them into some of our outreach activities. So they'll actually be out in the community helping with some of our events. And it's been really rewarding and just really fabulous to see and hear from the students how it's really opening their world to a lot of career paths that they didn't think were possible in New Mexico.
Being relatively new to New Mexico, often when people find out that I'm an opera singer, they always first say, "Do you sing at Santa Fe Opera?" Well, no, but I do get to work with wonderful people at Santa Fe Opera. And I hear from our community that they understand that Santa Fe Opera is a world-class entity right here at home. So I just am so glad that you all are getting these college students in and getting those internships going. It's really fantastic.
I have a question for Olivia.
Go for it.
All right, we're going to set the scene here. It is the month of August, and all productions have opened at the Santa Fe Opera.
Yes, they have.
What does your day look like?
Yes. So, that's a good question, Anna. Busy, in one word, plus an outfit change. During the festival season, I work evenings at the preview dinners and days in the office. It's always lovely to welcome so many patrons to the preview dinners, some who are seasoned opera goers and some who are attending the opera for the very first time.
Okay, let's go back to the outfit change.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me. Usually when I see y'all at one of these events, everybody looks amazing. So Anna and I have talked about this in a previous episode, but where do you like to get your beautiful outfits that you're wearing for the opera or for one of these events?
Ooh, that is a good question. I love secondhand clothing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I like
Thrifting queen.
Thrifting queen, truly. That's where you get all the best patterns, in my opinion.
Yeah. Marissa?
Same. Yeah, I love thrift stores, clothing exchanges with friends. I really love vintage things, and so I'm always kind of on the lookout for fun pieces.
And now, here's a community engagement lightning round.
Marissa, I hear you're an artist. If you could write your own opera, what would that look like?
Ooh, it would be vibrant. Yeah, I really love bright colors, and so I can envision, scenery and wardrobe that is just a rainbow of color. And I think also, I would steer away from the murder and abuse and sadness that can come into a lot of operas, and instead really make it something fantastical. Maybe a dream world where you get to see inside of somebody's dream, and there's, unicorns and rabbits with wings and just kind of wild fantasy scene.
Marissa's no one's gonna die.
No one's gonna die.
I like that. It's like a Cirque du Soleil opera.
Yeah. So maybe some kind of epic dream scene.
Yeah. Olivia, what is the most satisfying part of your job?
I would say the most satisfying part of my job is just all the different people I get to interact with on a day-to-day basis. I'm lucky to work with people who are of all ages and also just different relationships to opera, from school children learning about the hero's journey to opera experts. I learned so much about the art form itself from both sides of that spectrum.
And if I may, Olivia likes to, I think during their free time, she spends a lot of time at the costume shop.
Yes, I do. Yes,
Looking at patterns at the costume shop.
Yeah, anytime I can sneak up there and move the clothing side to side.
That sounds terrific. Marissa, has working in opera changed how you see this field?
Absolutely. I had been to operas before in my life before I started working here, but definitely still consider myself new to the opera world. And I think, while I've been involved in the performing arts and theater and have a bit of a sense of the work that goes into it, I have really had my eyes open to just the tremendous amount of talent that goes into producing an opera and the diversity of skill sets needed to make it happen. And so I think it's really grown my appreciation for the art form and just made me really interested in getting to know all of the people that we work with. Of course, we have all of the shops on our campus, which is pretty unique to have the house and all of the production shops together. And similar to Olivia, I just love going in and seeing what people are working on and the intricacy of some of these costumes and the volume of storage of props is really just incredible. And it's been very eye-opening.
Brianna invited me to come to the costume shop last year.
That's Brianna Fristo, our costume collections manager and outreach coordinator.
I was there picking up some pieces for University of New Mexico, and she said, I have a handful of things that you can just take. And so I've got some incredible coats that are just stunning. And my students all came. I said, everybody come to our we have a little tiny costume area at UNM. And they were all just loving on this one amazing coat that I think had been handmade. And I agree. I think that's part of what makes Santa Fe Opera world class, that all the shops are there and it's all of the teams coming together.
It's great.
Spectacular. Well, I'll ask you both, what opera are you looking forward to most this summer?
I'm excited to see the one that's probably the most opposite of the opera that I would write. So I'm excited to see Die Walküre. I think just to get more of a sense of the Wagnerian singers and that style is something that I haven't seen before. So yeah, I'm excited to see that one and just see something a little bit different.
I love it.
Yeah, I think I'm looking forward to Turn of the Screw just because I haven't seen children perform in an opera. It's such a, I don't know, like a lead type role. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. How cool. It's going to be such a great season. It's a season of war horses, essentially. And I'm so excited to see them all. But for me, it's La Bohème.
Oh, yeah.
I can't wait. I hear it's like full Parisian experience. And I think we should all have our croissant. And champagne.
I would love that, yeah.
Count me in.
Croissants and champagne. What a perfect note to end our community engagement party on.
But the party doesn't have to end here. Next time on Key Change, we're in the studio with Chandler Johnson, world-class director of our apprentice program for singers at the Santa Fe Opera.
I can't wait. Repertoire recommendations, audition advice, and more. Young artists, get ready to take notes.
Key Change is a production of the Santa Fe Opera, Department of Community Engagement and Education.
We are produced and edited by Andrea Klender at the Creative Imposter Studios.
I'm Anna Garcia.
And I'm Olga Perez Flora.
Our audio engineers are Colin Ungerleider and Cabby at Cabby Sound Studios in Santa Fe.
Technical direction by Edwin R. Ruiz.
Production support from Alex Riegler.
Show notes by Lisa Witter.
This podcast is made possible due to the generous support of the Hankins Foundation, principal education sponsor of the Santa Fe Opera.
To learn more, visit us at santafeopera.org/keychange.
And follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at the Santa Fe Opera.
Olivia, do you have any good dirt on Charles?
I don't
He
think
eats
so.
a lot of chocolate.
He does?
Yeah,
We have a candy drawer.
Candy
sweet
stash.
tooth for sure.
Oh,
That is
no.
conveniently located in Olivia's desk.
I don't know how that happened, but I'm
So-
okay with it.
We know every time he reaches for a piece.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, next time I come,
Yeah,
I'm
Olga.
bringing chocolate
Yeah.
for you all
Oh, and
to
you
share.
can, yeah, even just get into our chocolate too.
Absolutely.